Welcome to GovDogs, your go-to channel for civics and U.S. history test prep. History test prep, whether you're preparing for the Florida Civics EOC or the Florida Civic Literacy Exam, FCLE. This video will walk you through the landmark Supreme Court cases that appear over and over again on both tests. Thousands of teachers and students have already used our free downloadable study guides and practice tests to pass with confidence. And you can too. All resources mentioned are linked in the description below. Let's begin with the foundation of judicial power. Marbury v. Madison, 1803. This case established judicial review, the power of the Supreme Court to strike down laws that violate the Constitution. Chief Justice John Marshall's ruling defined the court's role as the final interpreter of the Constitution. This one shows up frequently on the EOC and FCLE. Make sure it's in your notes. McCulloch v. Maryland, 1819. When Maryland tried to tax a federal bank, the court said Congress had the implied power to create a national bank. As long as something is necessary and proper to carry out its duties, it's allowed, even if it's not directly stated in the Constitution. Dred Scott v. Sanford, 1857. This controversial decision denied citizenship to African Americans and said Congress couldn't ban slavery in U.S. territories. It heightened tensions between North and South and is considered one of the worst rulings in history. Plessy v. Ferguson, 1896. This case created the doctrine of separate but equal, legalizing segregation as long as facilities were supposedly equal. It stood until Brown v. Board overturned it decades later. Segregation cases like this are common test content. Be sure you can connect them. Brown v. Board of Education, 1954. Court declared racial segregation in public schools unconstitutional. This overturned Plessy became a major victory in the civil rights movement. Want more review like this? Download the full case packet in the description. Schenck v. U.S. 1919. Charles Schenck distributed anti-draft pamphlets during World War I. The court ruled that speech can be limited if it presents a clear and present danger, setting a precedent for limits on free speech in Tinker v. Des Moines, 1969. Students wore black armbands to protest the Vietnam War. The court ruled this was protected speech, stating students don't lose their First Amendment rights at school unless it disrupts learning. This one is a must-know for your Civics EOC. Texas v. Johnson, 1989. Flag burning as protest. The court ruled that even offensive symbolic speech is protected by the First Amendment. Be ready to recognize symbolic speech questions on your test. Hazelwood v. Kohlmeyer, 1988. But student speech isn't always protected. The court ruled schools can censor student newspapers if it's related to educational goals. Engel v. Vital, 1962. The court struck down school-sponsored prayer in public schools, citing the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. This is one of the most commonly asked religion-related cases in nearly every EOC practice test. Wisconsin v. Yoder, 1972. The court ruled that Amish parents could remove their children from school after 8th grade for religious reasons. This case balanced the state's interest in education with individual religious freedom. Miranda v. Arizona, 1966. This case gave us the Miranda warning. The court ruled that police must inform suspects of their rights before questioning, protecting the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Mapp v. Ohio, 1961. Illegally obtained evidence can't be used in court. This case applied the exclusionary rule to the states, reinforcing the Fourth Amendment's protections. Baker v. Kerr, 1962. The court ruled that federal courts can hear redistricting cases leading to the principle of one person, one vote. This ensured fairer representation in state legislatures. Shaw v. Reno, 1993. Racial gerrymandering violates the Equal Protection Clause. The court ruled that race cannot be the only factor in drawing electoral districts. Add this to your review list for redistricting questions. Bush v. Gore, 2000. This case ended the Florida recount in the 2000 election, effectively declaring George W. Bush the winner. The court cited equal protection concerns over inconsistent recount methods. United States v. Nixon, 1974. The court ruled that executive privilege cannot be used to withhold evidence in criminal cases. Even the president isn't above the law. This is a great example of checks and balances in action. U.S. v. Lopez, 1995. Congress passed a law banning guns near schools, but the court said that exceeded its power under the Commerce Clause. This case limited federal power and emphasized state authority. Schenck v. U.S., 1919. Charles Schenck distributed anti-draft pamphlets during World War I. The court ruled that speech can be limited if it presents a clear and present danger, setting a precedent for limits on free speech in wartime. District of Columbia v. Heller, 2008. The court ruled that individuals have a right to possess firearms for self-defense in the home under the Second Amendment. McDonald v. Chicago, 2010. This case extended the Heller ruling to state and local governments, incorporating the Second Amendment against the states. Regents of the University of California v. Back, 1978. The court ruled that affirmative action is allowed in college admissions, but racial quotas are not. Race can be one of many factors, but not the only one. Citizens United v. FEC, 2010. The court ruled that political spending by corporations and unions is protected speech under the First Amendment. This led to the rise of super PACs and increased campaign spending. Need to review these cases again later? Our complete Supreme Court case guide is free to download, and it comes with practice questions designed for both the EOC and FCLE. The link is in the description. Thousands of students have used these study tools to pass their exams. Share this video with a classmate, subscribe for more test prep, and make sure you're ready for test day.